Okay, let's call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the North Hudson Public Works Committee. This meeting has been properly noticed. It was postponed from its regular evening, but has been properly noticed. Roll call will show that we do have a quorum. Trustees Ortner and Sanifer are here. Trustee Zappa is absent and excused. Also show that our village engineer and our public works director are present. The minutes from our last meeting, which was held in December, have been distributed. We did not meet in January. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? And if not, they will stand approved as drafted. Our primary agenda item tonight is discussion and review of the Shop Yards project. We have been working on that for some time, and our village engineer is with us tonight, and so Kevin, I'll turn it over to you, and you can walk us through the schematics that you have. I hope that they are visible for the viewing audience, but Kevin, I'll turn it over to you for walking us through the schematics and see if we can bring this to some decision point.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Daryl. Well, I will step up to a couple of exhibits that we have put together. Along with that, there's a memorandum
Yes.
that we supplied. If everybody can see, I can bring these up closer if they are a little bit difficult.
They're fine with me.
I think I'm set with the camera
They're
right
picked
now.
up okay. Yeah.
So basically,
We got
it right
yeah,
here.
We're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So basically, the village board approved the started the design portion of the project, and we have two exhibits for Public Works Committee to review. There's two different options here. Try highlighting where, basically option one is where the existing utility easements are located out on the project currently. The one in green being the sanitary sewer. And that is the same with both options. That would stay in the current utility easement, sanitary sewer itself. It's the water main where you're going to see some differences between the two of them. And that's shown.
I'm just curious, why are they in different locations? Why weren't they simultaneously put in the same?
That was something that kind of stood out to us when we actually did the topo work and actually put the easements in there. They are in two different locations, which we thought was something.
It's unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, unusual. Yeah.
It could be just because the sanitary sewer might have actually been stuck in there first, and then the water was stuck in later.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't, railroad had its own private well there for quite a while.
So, yeah, it's definitely something that kind of stood out when you were looking at things. So, the ones that are highlighted gives you an idea of how far they've been dedicated. Also, the sewer does end up in up in the northern point next to this building currently, and then the water main ends just north of where the existing hydrant sits out there right now. And you can see, like Daryl was pointing out, kind of does have the cross-country appearance where it's not parallel to the existing sanitary sewer. So, gives you an idea of what you have out there now. We did transpose, where we would look at putting the new utilities, the new sewer and water. If the community decides to go with this option. The next one, option number 2, again, sanitary sewer stays in the same location. That would not change. We would look at paralleling the water main with that utility as part of this option. And typically, that's usually about 8 to 10 feet away from the sewer, what the DNR requires. And you can also see where we'd be looking at doing, looping that we've talked about with the project for 2 conditions, 2 reasons being, for fire flow, increase the fire flows that are down.
But the looping would be the same in either option, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that would increase the fire flows down in this area along with, the water quality. Instead of having a dead end main, you'd have flow from different directions, so that would help with that issue. This is, with new layouts that we do for new utilities, new subdivision, new road constructions, this pretty much mimics what's the common practice is out there. So between the two, we would recommend that the committee go with option number 2. There's some other reasons that go along with going with this one. If we were to try to put it in the existing easement over in this area, this is where the building that burnt down a few years ago, that would end up going right underneath the current foundation, so there would have to be some repair work for that option to work. You have an existing fence that would be in conflict that we could avoid with option number 2. And there was, some pavement markings out in this area for parking stalls that would be a little more effective with going with this one, so.
And not option 1, Kevin, that's all within the easements we have now.
Correct. Yep. So with this one, if we wanted to go down this route, we would have to approach these property owners. They would have to release the old one, and we'd have to dedicate a new one. Either way, we were going to need to acquire some additional ones anyways as part of the project. So, we were going to have to approach those people. But this would just involve a little bit, more work on our part to get those new ones in place. But I think it's reasonable. I don't see where anybody would have any major issues with it, but.
Well, it almost looks like the location of the required easements on option 2 would be, shall we say, less intrusive to property owners than the existing ones on option 1, anyway.
Yeah.
So I can't see that, as you say, getting different easements from the property owners would be a problem. It looks preferable.
Could there be an issue with if you had 1 or 2 of them that said, no, I'm not going to change? Then where do we go?
Well, there is a process you can go through, but it's just obviously a little bit more involved with like condemnations and things like that. Then we might end up having to be stuck with what we currently have. But, there's some other things that the committee and the village board needs to decide. And that kind of leads into the next part. Special assessments, something that was brought up before. Since there is replacement, the village does have sinking funds for the utilities themselves. The discussion or debate is the access coming into here. It's asphaltic surface. There's some areas that are gravel up above, but those are going to get disturbed. And typically, with other street projects that we've done throughout the community, if the pavement's over 20 years old, then there would be special assessment against these benefited property owners. 50% of the cost would be assessed to those, while the other remaining would be the village's portion of it. That could play into some of the negotiations for the easements potentially. They could come back and say that they wouldn't sign the easement if we were going to special assess those folks. If you could look at it, with this just being a sewer and water project, that we could consider the asphalt kind of as part of it, part of the main project, being that those funds could be taken out of the sinking funds for that work. But it's all up for discussion, what the committee feels feels comfortable with.
The issue of special assessments would have no impact on whether we would go with option 1 or option 2, correct? Other than the potential of, as you said, signing or not signing an easement?
Yeah.
So, I mean, leverage. Other than that, there's no impact?
Right.
You're saying that from an engineering standpoint, you're recommending option 2, and it does look cleaner to me from a schematic standpoint and the co-location of the utilities, but from an engineering standpoint, you're recommending it for what reasons? What are the engineering reasons?
Less disturbance on, as part of the construction. Some of the things that I highlighted before, it's gonna add some additional costs to the project. And number 2, it just makes it easier down the road for locating these facilities. If you kind of have an idea, it's roughly 8 feet apart. Where this, it takes a little bit more effort to locate those out in the field. So, it's kind of a twofold.
What would be the difference, the cost difference? We got some cost difference with Cedar Cove for getting the easements, but if we were to do option 1, we're tearing up a lot more of the,
Right.
is it a wash?
No, I think, as part of the easements, that would be included in the design portion, like costs that we had given you beforehand. So there won't be any additional funds that we're gonna request for that work. There is gonna be some.
I think your question was the difference in option 1 or option 2, as far as cost?
Well, we're going to have extra costs in getting the easements from Cedar Court to work through getting the easements with all the residents, whereas option 1, we already have the easement, but with option 1,
Looks
we're
like
going to
there's
have
a lot
to
more
tear up a
construction,
lot
yeah.
more construction, yes.
Yeah. I think, the easements are gonna be more cost effective than doing the more pavement replacement.
Set the issue of the easements totally aside,
Mhm.
whether or not they cost or don't cost. The cost of the project itself, the completion of the project and the construction. I want to follow up on kind of the point that Dan is making. Is there a significant difference in the cost to do the project, option 1 or option 2? It looks like option 2 would be less expensive.
Yes, it would be, yeah, definitely.
If option 2 is the route to go, and it would certainly appear that way, what happens to the water line that currently is there and is illustrated in option 1? Is that simply abandoned?
Yeah, it's abandoned place. Yeah.
We don't dig it up or do anything, it's just abandoned.
Yep, it would be.
What do we do then? Do we cap it on each end, or what?
Yeah,
What?
typically-
I suppose it doesn't matter if no water goes through it. Just-
Basically, we just have to make sure that no water does go through it once we.
yeah,
The only thing we'll have to dig down is when we're actually hooking the services up to the new water main. We'll have to go in, disconnect them from the old, hook them up to the new. That's basically the only place we'll be digging. And at each one of those places, that's also you can cut and cap it.
bulkhead with cement or whatever.
Yep.
The pipe would just stick in place.
We've had an issue over the years of some freezing in the shop yards. But
Sewer,
was that
yeah.
that was the sanitary sewer?
Sewer.
Yeah,
It
And
freezes
that's
on
just
the-
simply because it's not deep enough,
Yeah, it's
right?
only 3 feet deep.
Yeah. So, we've looked at that just to see how much additional depth we would be able to get, because there is a drop, that's part of this project here, Third Street project. We did lower this sewer through that area in anticipation of this extension down in the future. So, by running it out at minimum grade, it'd be an 8-inch pipe, which is common, normal. We would be able to get that structure way up on the north end to be 10 feet deep instead of 3 feet deep. So you're gonna gain about, another 7 feet of cover over that pipe.
Currently, during the winter months and then far north building, they cannot use the restrooms in that building simply because they will freeze at the sewer lateral
Oh, my
or in
goodness.
the manhole. So it's only warehouse, that's good, but if they ever would, and there has been discussion, Dan Barber has mentioned me there, have somebody looking at possibly renting that next year, that building, and then they would need their bathroom facilities year round.
Do we own this street?
It's jointly owned. We are one of the members that own it. But it's jointly owned by all the property owners within, it is a private road.
Yeah, there is an access easement here. I don't show it on these maps, and we do have it located.
And part of the assessment, the bituminous mix is all part of the assessment along with the excavating of the pipes.
The assessment would just be for the road portion of it only.
Okay.
Utilities would, that would come out of the city fund that the village has. And then I tried putting some numbers to that to give the committee members an idea of how much that would be based on our estimate that we put together for the project. And there's going to be 8 parcels that would be affected. If you did decide to do the special assessments, and they would vary, from $6,000 to $7,000 when you take total cost, half of it being to the property owners and half to the village. And as you can see, St. Croix Ventures would incur the majority of the cost because they have 4 businesses.
Well, the largest property owner.
Yeah, yeah. So, half of that number would be their share. That's around $28,000 for it, so.
I'm just curious on option 1. As you point out, the location of where the utilities are right now in those easements, it does in fact go underneath the very corner or tip of that building. But that's the previous building.
Yeah, it's just concrete there now.
Yeah, the concrete slab's still there.
Yeah. It's right there, it's right on the edge of it.
So what you're saying is the tip of that existing foundation would need to be removed to do the,
Yeah, to center up the water main and the dedicated easement, yep.
I'm not advocating for it, I just wanted to understand the issue. Weigh in on it, Mark. You've probably got the most history here of
No.
any of us.
I believe we
this
have to,
project.
I believe we should be going with option 2. Just to keep everything right in the same easements and everything else, so in the future, like what Kevin was saying, it makes it a lot easier trying to go in and fix something if you know exactly where it's placed. And, and I think with option 2, the biggest thing I can see is where option 1 is where the existing water is running. It's going right through that parking lot of BOH and everything else, and we have to go in there and fix that thing. We're going to be tearing up their parking lot. We're going to tear up the street no matter what, but we're going to be tearing up their parking lot. We're going to be tearing up, it's, to me, it should all be centrally located and right down that road, so it's.
Well, yeah, that's what I was meaning earlier when you were saying there may be a problem with exchanging some easements. If I was a property owner there, I would like the idea that everything was located in a very compact, contiguous manner, rather than here you run the risk of having a lot more disruption should something occur.
I move we do option 2.
I think it's pretty clear. I'll second that, so we've got an action item on the table. The cost of the project then falls within the scope of the number that we've been looking at all along.
Yes.
And refresh my memory, that was
Yeah, it was close to 400.
390 something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 94, it's right around that mark.
I would not think, this I guess I'm going to ask a hypothetical question. I would not think that we need to address the issue of how we're going to do the special assessments at this point. Approval and moving forward on the project, I don't think, depends on the answer to that question. Does it? Isn't that a question that we need to decide, but we need to decide it later?
It all depends
Or
on,
does this all need to be decided at the same time? I don't see it that way.
if you're, I mean, if the committee is looking at trying to do the construction this year, then I think we need some direction, just because of, you know, how long that process is gonna take. It's, you know, if we're gonna have to go through, you know, the village boards, you know, we're gonna have to bring in a preliminary resolution for adoption, that takes a month. And then there's a preliminary assessment report along with a public hearing that needs to go along with that. And that typically follows the month after. So you're looking at about a 2-month process just for that. So, and I tried putting some dates to that at the end there.
I see that. But I don't see any reason, unless Dan sees it differently, I don't see any reason that we would adopt any kind of a different policy than what we've used in the past for special assessments. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty clear.
It's already on the books.
It's on the books. A project is a project, and here's the way special assessments are done for new construction or improvement or streets or anything. It's pretty clear.
I mean, the village does have a special assessment policy, so, just, you know, I think when we start talking to these people about, you know, the easement portion of it, I think we should let them know that, you know, there's gonna be special assessments along with the project also, just so, you know, it doesn't come out after the fact, just so we're upfront with that.
Sure,
Yep.
sure.
So,
Well, I'm assuming that your motion, I second it that way, assumes that we follow our existing policy on special
Yep.
assessments. That's,
Yes.
okay. Well, on that basis, I'm ready to vote.
Yeah.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Probably no one, since there are two of us here. The record should show we do have a quorum. So this motion then indicates that the Public Works Committee is moving this forward with recommendation, approval recommendation to the full board to proceed with this project this year.
Yep.
Okay,
so that would be,
that's good work.
And the best thing Kevin and I were discussing would be, this project might, you know, right now, all the summer projects are all being bid out right now, but this one you'll get contractors interested in this basically because it is an end of the winter project. And as their summer projects are wrapping up, they're looking for another projects to get done, so this will be,
So the timing is good.
you should be able to get it in.
What size of water lines are currently there, and what size of water lines are on Cherry Circle and Galahad?
Cherry Circle North, that was a 6-inch main. Galahad Road, I want to say is, we have that sitting over here.
Remember, I was amazing.
So yeah, 6-inch here, and then over on 4th Street, there's a 6-inch that runs south of Monroe, 8-inch line to the north. And then as part of this project, that size was upsized to a 10-inch main, just in anticipation that we would eventually do some moving down in this area. And then down on 3rd Street, that's 8-inch, south side.
And we'd be connecting with a 10-inch to that.
Yep, we'd have a 10-inch for this portion, and then this would be all 8-inch pipe. And we've, you know, gone through the modeling, and SEH had actually put that together, and it meets the requirements of what Hudson Public Works would want.
Yeah, those pressure tests that we looked at,
Fire flow, so.
fire code stuff some months ago, that was based on.
It's based on
These
what size
sizes.
pipes, so.
Yep.
The only other easements, I think you're gonna have to obtain that easement coming in off of Monroe Street.
Yes,
And you're also gonna have to obtain that easement going down the south side of that pathway.
correct.
Those easements still have to be obtained.
Yeah.
There's currently nothing there.
That would be-
There's a sewer easement in there going down that pathway, but it's not large enough to also get the water into that same easement, so we're gonna have to get
Don't we own that?
Huh?
Don't we own that path?
path. Yeah, but we're gonna have to encroach onto the St. Croix Ventures property to actually give us enough room to put the water in along the sewer.
It's pretty narrow.
Yeah.
That's what we thought probably made the most sense if we're gonna
Go
go
on the south side.
Yeah. Coaches people anyways about getting this easement, but well, probably just put it on the
Biggest
south
thing we're gonna
side.
have to also put in with them when we obtain that easement is also to restoration of trees and everything else, because when that water goes in, you're gonna be taking down the little buffer of trees they have right now, which most of them are just scrub trees anyway, but I'm sure they're gonna want something back in there.
Oh, carefully dig out the shrub trees and put them back. Okay, good. Anything else in this? Well, be prepared then to present this to the full board so that we can get this moving forward. I think this is good work.
Yeah, very nice.
We've been at this for a long time,
Months.
but it's time to move this forward. Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Mark, East Bank Sanitary Sewer Lift Station.
we hear
Do you have a memo
something?
on that?
You here for something on the agenda, or?
Pardon me?
I'm just asking him if he's here for something on the agenda.
Oh, I was just interested in this, and I apologize for being late. I thought it was at 6:30.
Oh,
Okay.
no
I'll
problem.
just look at the pictures later.
It does not affect your property.
Okay.
The East Bank Sanitary Sewer Lift Station
Uh,
repairs.
Basically, there's a memo in front of you, along with a quote on what's needed. Basically, the impellers are showing, the impellers in the wear rings on both pumps are showing pretty considerable wear, and I'm
The
recommending...
pump is still operating, isn't it?
Yeah, the pumps are working and everything else, but if the impellers wear anymore, we could start actually damaging the pumps because they could go up, basically out of balance. And what we're recommending is to replace the impellers, the wear rings, and also the O-rings in both pumps. This is nothing, we'll have to go to board. Basically, this is for information for you. This will come out of your sewer maintenance funds for the lift stations, the 201 funds, but
The contractor Tri-State Pump, that would be normally who we would have
yes,
do a
that
job
they
like
do.
this?
Basically, ours and all of ours in the city's works, as far as this kind of stuff.
Chair would be prepared to entertain a motion recommending that we take this to village board.
Are they the only ones? I know I piss and moan about this all the time, but we always have one bid. Are they the only ones around that do this stuff?
How many people would bid on a little project like this?
Not many, but we could, I contact Braun Pump, there's a few other ones around, but they don't do our service work, and basically they're probably gonna want we have some kind of service contract if they come in, And we already have a service contract set with
With Tri-State?
Tri-State.
Okay, that's good to know. What's the cost of a new pump?
Actually, I did not have them price that, but you're probably looking at basically,
How big of pumps are they? Horsepower?
8-inch.
say they're 8 horsepower pumps.
They're probably 8 to 10,000.
Yeah, I wanna say they're right, I wanna say last time we priced pumps at that lift station, they're right around 7,500. So I'm saying they're even more now.
Yeah.
And the life of the pump?
Depends on the maintenance.
Yep.
Well, it would appear right now we ought to repair this one.
Yes,
It
yep,
looks to me
I would
like-
agree.
Okay.
I would
Basically,
move.
like I
your
said,
motion.
this does not have to go to board. This is basically, because it does come out of our funds. I talked to Gloria again, and this are already designated maintenance funds. This is not something that has to go to board. Basically, this is
Well,
for
let's
Public
get it
Works
done then.
Committee. Yeah.
All right.
I move having Tri-State Pump and Control replace the impellers and wear rings along with new O-rings at a cost not to exceed $3,900.
Second. Proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to proceed with Tri-State Pump at the cost not to exceed $3,900? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. Now let's get that done then. We've got a sanitary sewer backup that you're going to inform us
Basically,
about.
this is for information only. This is no action item. It's right now in the hands of our insurance company and the homeowners insurance company. Those two are working it out. So basically, it's even out of my hands now. But this, for information, there's a memo in front of you. We did have a backup into 723 Lund Street North on February 4th at 3:30 in the afternoon. Basically, 2 inches of sewage went into the finished basement. I looked at it basically on the 5th. I met with homeowners, stuff like that, looked at the thing, and then okayed the Servpro to go ahead and start the removal of items from the basement and the cleanup. At that time, I turned what information I had over to Gloria. She notified our insurance company, and since then, I've been working with our insurance company, giving them any information they wanted regarding dates, lines were last cleaned, what how old the main is, stuff like that, just so they had what information they need. And like I said, right now it is basically our insurance company working with their insurance company to try to figure out who's going to pay what.
When you indicated there was a blockage and it was jetted to clear the blockage, the jetting would not clean the roots out, would
No,
it?
what
Would
it
Yes,
was
then
when
we
they
have
when
to
they
go down
actually
there and auger the
jetted it,
roots out?
start getting the blocks and else, that's when they noticed that they were starting to get, they were not being able to get through it. So the treatment plant at that time put their root cutter on and they started cutting out root
Okay.
masses, stuff like that. So, and basically, as a second part of this, you'll see there I have a draft of a letter that I am proposing to send to Jim Schreiber at the treatment plant. Basically adding 1 Street North as a street that needs to be cleaned and root cut annually. We have currently, the other ones are already on a list that they do yearly for us. We're adding this street to that list to make sure it gets.
And that's because this area,
It's now we
known for
designate it
roots
as
and sewers.
now we designate it, well, with this backup, now we designate it as a trouble area or a possible trouble site within our main. So
Do we ever, like, when we have areas like this that are problems, is there any way to trace which trees grow in the roots?
that's what I'm wondering, if you've got an area
Let's
with
cut the
that
tree
we
down.
have identified it,
Yeah.
something must be causing it.
there's some big trees in there, and we believe it's the neighbors from across the street. It's actually.
I mean, isn't there anything we can do? And
There's actually we used the system back a few years ago, or actually quite been about 8 years ago now. There is a company, Infotech, and everything else out of the cities. They actually do a system they call vapor rooting, and what it is you go in and you clean your lines, you root cut it, and they come in with a special machine, it's chemicals and everything else, and basically they foam this entire sewer main. We make sure none of the residents use their sewers for a period of time, so they can go ahead and foam this stuff and everything else. And once they foam it, it kills off the roots. And I mean, it kept the Lemon Street line, which we had it done in front of the school. That thing hasn't had roots in it for quite a few years, but it is spendy. It's not cheap, but we did it there because we were having
Spendy, go in and cut the roots too, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, with cutties on the machines, they do it annually. They can, keep them cut down. But actually, last time this street was actually root cutted was 3 years ago. That's what we found out when we actually did our report. It was last cut the summer of 2010, right after I had it televised, and we found that we had quite a bit of root infiltration into it. So the treatment plant root cut it at that time, and right now, with the way as large as the city is getting and everything else, Dan can tell you, the treatment plant, with only having the one truck, they have a hard time getting around to everything in both communities. It used to be basically, when I first started here, they were doing everything in both communities every 2 years. Now it's getting up to be out every 3 years, just because both of them are so large. Communities keep growing.
But there isn't the option of, we noticed a tree that's bad, that the roots are causing these pipes to, it's infiltrating the pipes. We can't go out and say we're going to take that tree out so the roots stop growing.
Well, if it's on private property, the homeowner's going to want a little restitution or some other tree planted there.
If it's a right-of-way.
It's a right-of-way
then
tree,
would.
you can take it out.
Yeah, then you can take it out.
But if it's a homeowner's tree,
Yeah,
you're
then-
probably going to have a little.
No, it just seems, yeah.
I agree with you. Well, at this point, there isn't any action. You're informing us. Thank you. Kevin, have you got anything else for us?
Just one quick item. It's in regards to the STP Urban Program. That application is available now. And if you remember on the Wisconsin Street project, that the design portion of it was approved. It was I think it was about $70,000, and 20% would be the village's share, while the other 80% the DOT would pick up. And we've always talked about, when the new round of applications come out, that we could look at considering applying for the construction portion of that project. And this came available, I think it was January 28th, so it's a matter of, does the committee want to proceed with at least applying for those funds?
Well, there's no downside in making the application. What we're risking is your cost of doing the application.
And there would be no fee for that.
Well, then there's really no downside.
Yeah, so we just wanted to make sure that you're comfortable with us proceeding with applying for those funds.
Well, yes, I can't see that we would have any objection.
Okay,
In fact, yes, apply for them.
okay. Sounds good. We'll proceed with that
And
then.
if awarded, then we need to decide whether we're going to accept them.
Right, right. Does not obligate community by
Right.
any means. So,
Okay, good.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Mark?
I don't think I have in front of you, I have another memo. Basically, we've been stockpiling scrap metal up at the garage for quite a few years. I mean, almost back in November, one of my personnel actually took it over to North Metal Recycling, and they gave us a check for $427.89. So basically what that money's been stuck into is into miscellaneous income and everything else in 2013 budget. Basically, we held on to the check until after this year, just to get it in this budget. And what we're asking, and this will be something that will actually be on the board agenda, is to be able to take that money to use to buy high-vis safety clothing, stuff like that, for public works and part-time personnel.
I think it's a great idea.
Well, it's a good source of funding if we need the clothing, and I'm not arguing that we do or don't, so, yeah. So I don't see that we need to take any action on this. We'll go to
I'm
the
just
board.
letting you know it's going to go to the board.
Sounds good. Okay. If there's nothing else, and our agenda is completed, then we are adjourned.